Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to a new episode, fresh out of the packet of The Good, The Bad and The Rugby with me, Alex Payne. It is, and I don't quite know how we're managing to attract the big names that we are at the moment. Obviously they're not doing a lot of due diligence before they come on this show. But it is another bumper episode this week because joining us very shortly, we're going to have, well, the game's hot stepper right now, none other than Mr. Cheslin Kolbe, currently sitting in Toulouse, but probably keeping one eye on all developments around the Lions tour this summer as well. Looking forward to chatting to him. But before then, it's always nice to get the band back together and have a little bit of a chat amongst the tripod. There has been a lot going on in the game over the last few weeks and months, so why don't we gallop about it in the company of the Hask and the Lord. Hask, first of all, how art thou? What news?
Yeah, well, I was actually going really well yesterday. I love snow. I love snow days. I made a big snowman. Obviously, he's wearing a mask because we've got to be very COVID cautious. But when I got to the top of, I'd like to say it's a driveway, but it's just more of a sort of a hill into a garage. I got yesterday, just thought I'd idly come in, put my brakes on and just slid straight into the closed garage door and fucked it. Bit of a disappointing day. And Chloe was in there working out and just heard this and just me get out. Fuck's sake! But we've managed to get it fixed. The guy came around today and he's done a miracle job. So we're back in action, thank God.
Did you get it fixed for cash or for a tweet and a great endorsement of revolving doors and garage doors? I don't think we've had any content like that on your feed yet, so there's always room.
No, we haven't. I mean, I've become vegan for the week, just to let everyone know. I mean, it's for 1 meal per day, just because I've always wanted to explore it. I spent a lot of time take the piss out of vegan, so I thought I would jump on that bandwagon just to see how things are going after the back of my McDonald's rant. Show that I've got real diversity in my portfolio and my bank. I mean, my body, whatever it was.
Many layers, aren't there, to you, Hask? And people just don't seem to pull back all of them. Yeah. They only look at what's on the only skin deep, aren't they?
Very much.
There's a price attached to each layer, I think it is. Yeah. And decks are available from his agent. Lord, how are you? What news?
Yeah, very good. I'm even though I'm not entirely sure how good my internet is right now, so I look forward to it. I'll be breaking apart. But no,
I thought the new cables have been laid in Fastershire.
They've been laid, but they're not connected yet. I mean, Giga Clear, I implore you, please just switch me on, will you, please? But no, obviously, snow. We had loads of snow here, so it's been fantastic being out there with the kids on the sledge. Fortunately, can people also make sledges that are made for 100-kilo people? I broke a couple yesterday, so there were some crying kids. Sorry about that, kids. But yeah, I need to restock on the sledges side, but we've got some good hills around here, so it was good fun.
I didn't get anywhere with the sledging. No kids would let me go on their sledges. Like I'd walk up to them, look longingly. But what I was fascinated with, you get different types of snow. Like if you're a snow aficionado, you obviously get sometimes loads of snow, but it won't stick together. Yesterday was such a good day because if you rolled one mini ball and rolled it, 20 minutes later, you'd have a boulder. And I was obsessed with doing it. Chloe was like, no, we don't need another one for the thing. I was like, come on, let's make a bigger one. By the end of it, I was just rolling this thing like a Sisyphean tragedy just down the thing. It was so much fun.
What?
Like a Sisyphean tragedy. You know the guy who rolls the rock to the top of the hill?
Yeah, he falls off the other side.
he never gets to the top. Like life. It's like this podcast. Yeah. We fucking never actually get to where we're going. We work really hard. We get to the top and it rolls straight back down on us. That was me yesterday going, why? Everyone's like, why are you doing it? It's like, because it's good snow. Like you can't normally do this. And we made a snowman, but once we made the snowman, there was fuck all else to do with it. So I've just made loads of big boulders. They're just sitting outside. Chloe's like, you're not very well. I said, I should have still keep playing rugby or doing something.
I get sort of snowman envy as well, because you build one and you think it's the greatest thing. And then as we were driving along, someone had done one on a wall and they'd made their snowman doing a handstand. And I was like, that's unbelievable. How have they done that? I know. And I was just like, I go home, kick the shit out of my snowman and fill it in because it's crap. But yeah, I even got we got the gator out. Obviously, Hask, you love gators. Got the gator out and I got my snowboard out and I was getting dragged along like I was surfing on my gator. It was fine until we hit a patch where the snow had melted and it went straight onto concrete and it just ruined my snowboard. But there you go. But it was fun.
Talking about snowman, all I wanted to do was make a giant snowman penis, but I was strictly not allowed to do it. Like loads of kids are, because I don't know if you see that video on Instagram where they've got this snowman and someone's pretending to rub the snowman and someone's throwing snowballs out the top of it. It looks like an ejaculating penis. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I went, right, Chloe, we're building a snowman penis. And she was like, we're not. I was like, come on, let's just do it. Forget, everyone's made snowmen. She's like, Chloe, James, there's kids around. I was like, fucking kids ruining everything.
There's always that great picture on that goes around WhatsApp of one of those videos where someone had made two snowmen be having sex on the car bonnet. It was just brilliant. I mean, it was, the level of detail was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Super stuff. That is the content that people come for. I'm sorry to therefore bring it back to rugby. We don't have to do that. We can keep going with shagging snowmen if you like. That'll be. Have either of you ever seen the Raymond Briggs "We're Walking in the Air" snowman?
No.
Yeah,
no, it's a classic. Yeah, I mean,
you're talking the movie, The Snowman. Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, it's the sort of Christmas time. I don't know why I'm going there.
Alan Jones
I used to be able to sing "Walking in the Air." Alan Jones.
Did you?
Yeah, of course.
As if I think it's. Why do I sound surprised? You look like a choir boy now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you look like. So you used to sit there in your little cassock singing.
I stood. You open your diaphragm more.
Sit with your tiny little testes going. Ee! I love that. I don't love tiny testes or people go like that. I mean, you singing would have been incredible.
Six Nations is right around the corner for those that are interested. It looks like we're going to get a start. Fingers crossed. Are we going to get a finish? Are we going to get a tournament that we can all kick back and enjoy and has got a narrative and drama and excitement? Or are we going to get a sort of stop-start fart along like, unfortunately, most of last year?
I mean, is it going to be the spectacle we want? Yeah. In atmosphereless fucking giant stadiums with people rattling around with, you can hear someone fart in the dugout. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. I think in terms of actual getting to watch the rugby, yes, it's going to be brilliant. It sort of kind of lacks atmosphere, sport without a crowd, but we will make do, and I think it will be really good. I think 100% we finish it. I don't think they'll stop and start it, because I think the precautions, from what I'm led to believe, speaking to some of the lads, are pretty draconian. You're only allowed to bubble with one other player. You've got to eat in fours. You've got all these mad COVID regulations. I think they're getting dipped like sheep when they come in and out of training. So it's a bit punchy, and now everyone's, obviously in the stadium's got this red zone. If anyone comes near, it's like, no, get back. So I think it'll go. Fingers crossed.
We're clinging to whatever we can cling to right now. Tinds, is it going to be a satisfying experience, or is it just whatever we can get?
I think what Hass said about the fact whatever it is, it's still going to be alien with empty stadiums, and when you're so used to sort of the Six Nations being tribal warfare between the French and the English in terms of fans and Wales, and so that is going to be missing. So that is going to take a lot of what we expect the Six Nations to be out of it. But I had a look at I was looking through the squads the other day, and I think there's some cracking squads between, Wales squad looks good, Scotland squad looks really good. Obviously ours is strong. We know how strong the French is. So I think if you look at that, there should be some great games out there, and there should be. So hopefully what you find is they are a bit more open when the crowds aren't there, because you are ultimately doing what feels like a training run. So generally it's a little bit more open. But then saying that, the autumn series wasn't quite, it was a bit boring until the last weekend. So, but I think there are great squads out there. There are great matchups, and I think there should be great rugby to be watched. Unfortunately, only on telly.
We had a good chat with Cameron Redpath actually at the weekend, who's declared for Scotland and is going to just strengthen the pizzazz options for Gregor Townsend. You mentioned obviously Wales hoping to have their Prem players. Were you at Wasps with Paolo Dogwu, or did he come after you?
No, but talking
That ages you.
Oi, listen, I tell you, it's good to see Harry Randall in there, but him and you went to the same school of puberty. He looks about 10 when I saw him running around. Unbelievable.
Same school of puberty. He's got quite a lot more ability, though, given that he's going to get a nod for his country. Do you know what? I talk about Redpath. I actually shared a room with him, Cameron, in England camp. So do you remember Eddie Jones called him in? This is probably why he's gone to Scotland. So they put him in with me. And I'd never met him before. I came in and this school kid was there, and I was like, "Are you here to press my trousers or something?"
That's why he went to Scotland. It wasn't.
You've got rid of one of the great gems of Northern Hemisphere rugby.
Basically, I went to England training and I roomed with this idiot, and that was put me off England for life. Basically, get me back to Scotland.
He was like standing there, I was like hanging things on him, making him stand there. And I was talking to him. And obviously he was a young player, but I was straight away like, so have you got a girlfriend? Like, you know, what's she like? Show me photos. And so, but I know I did obviously try to look after him, but then he was there for a few days. I think we spent 2 or 3 days together. And then we never saw him again. But I think he was trying to play, did I make this up? I think he was trying to play scrum half then. Or was he always a centre? Or did I just make that up?
Well, you tell me. I mean, Eddie's got
made that up.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's got a track record of changing players. I don't think he's.
But he was a lovely, honestly. He was a lovely kid, and he was with us. He's with us for the week. He obviously won the lottery and get to share with me. I parted all my knowledge, kept him up all night, scared him, and then he's now beaten a retreat to Scotland. And he's obviously been carving up at centre, and now he's gone back to the motherland.
The worst thing is, I used to pass the ball with him when he was 11. So that's how old I am
because
now.
of his dad at Gloucester.
Yeah.
Jesus, so you weren't known for his passing. So fucking how's he progressed with you?
How's he ever made a decent playmaker of a centre when he was passing with me?
Congratulations, Cameron Redpath, on making it to the top in spite of rooming with Hask and training with Tinds. That really is kudos where it's due. Yeah. Tinds, do we like the England squad? We should just say actually that Joe Launchbury has withdrawn with an injury, and Joe Marler we send a huge hug to at this point as well. But do you like the balance of the squad that Eddie's gone with? He's got limited options, but do we like it?
I think I do like it. I do. You know, you look through it. I think he's brought people in where you would hope. You know, you talk about Max Malins. What I thought he was brilliant in the autumn when he had opportunities. I'd like to see him get a few more opportunities. Obviously, you've got your Watsons, and I think Randall's earned his spot there. Obviously, Ben Youngs is still there, and you would expect him to start. But I'd like to see Dan Robson and Harry Randall get some game time. The backs look the same. Forwards wise, I think it looks strong. I think we're in a really good place. It'd be interesting, if Billy still starts, or will he try? Mark Wilson's got back in there, and you've got Ben Earls playing well. I wonder what they're going to do around the back row. I assume it'll stay the same, but he's got options there, which I quite like. So no, I think England go in with probably favourites, but we know how good France is, and as I say, I like the other squads. It's just whether we can get them, whether Wales can find any form, which they haven't really shown, even though they've got quality players throughout their thing, and whether Scotland can excite us, but then win those tight games, which they should win, which they've got a habit of losing at the moment.
Very excited by the fact that they've reinvented Team Bin Juice. Someone sat around going, fucking hell, we can't call the subs, we can't call the people left out. We're going to call it the Shadow Squad. It's like as if they're all like real badasses, but they're like, instead of the main bus turns up and they're like a bit of smoke coming out the back of it, lads falling out. Fucking hell, what happened to the Avengers? Oh, we couldn't get the Avengers on the phone. Who have you called? The Shadow Squad. Come on, guys, we're off to do some training. Like, fucking hell. I love that rebrand. I wish I was part of the Shadow Squad.
It even gets written in italics now as well.
Of course it does. Shadow Squad. And they put it in black as well to make it look like real edgy.
Yeah. You're not dropped, you're not picked.
Yeah.
It's just you're in the Shadow Squad.
Yeah.
It's
a
thing. It's not.
Well, I tell you, I'm surprised that Jack Willis didn't make it in, because obviously he's been playing well. But I know Mark Wilson's absolutely been carving up. So I think it's exciting. I looked at the team and I thought, for 28 players, it's really refreshing. Obviously, looking at the other squads as well, there's some really exciting players in there. I think again, the Welsh squad looks great. Obviously, Dan Lydiate back after 3 years. Stop it. I'm very excited to see how the tournament goes. And I think Eddie's been expansive. I'm not sure what the rules are about using the Shadow Squad. Only if maybe they put a signal in the sky. Are you allowed to use it?
Answer the beacon of hope. Actually, Eddie's been self-isolating because poor old Matt Proudfoot's picked up COVID, so we wish Matt well and a speedy recovery, and Eddie will be back barking before too long, I'm sure.
Alex, fucking spare a thought for Mrs. Jones. Because imagine Eddie being locked. Imagine being like someone saying to Eddie, right, sorry, Eddie. They probably did it from a distance, like through the letterbox. Eddie's like, what do you fucking want, mate? What do you fucking want? Eddie, you've got to stay in the house for 2 weeks. Fuck off, mate. Right, see you, Eddie. And like poking food through the thing. Poor Mrs. Jones must be in the other room, just like shaking, or she's just filled him in. Or I told you that I met Oroku. And I asked her, how are you? What's happening? She's like, good. She goes, yeah, I've just been learning boxing. And she went, ha, 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 mate, this fucking close to my face, but did a full combo. And obviously I was like, this is the coach's wife. If she accidentally bangs you out, A, that's going to be embarrassing, you're never going to forget it. And you can't stop her because it's the coach's wife. You have to just take a beating. So I feel sorry for her. We should have a minute's silence for poor Mrs. Jones stuck with Eddie, because he texts me today and I know he must be bored. He's just gone through the list going, who the fuck can I speak to now? Hess, mate, how are you? I was like, good. And then you just get, good, mate. I'm like, okay, sweet. Thank you very much for that in-depth conversation. We're
Was that it? It was literally just, are you still alive?
It was very nice. We had a bit of a chat, and then he was very complimentary and nice. We had a conversation, and then I just sent something back, and he just went, good, mate. Which is good, because if you've got nothing, then it's bad. If you've got something like I got once, you're looking too big and slow. Thank you.
Was that while you were playing, or was that after you retired?
No, that was when I was playing, but I missed. Do you know what? I really missed that. I actually, for the first time in a while, just with the Six Nations coming back together, I was watching something on TV. I started pining to play rugby again, because I'm training. Like, I'm doing some good training at the moment. I'm pretty fit at the moment. And my plan is to get. It was BLT, big, lean and tan. Now it's BLTF, big, lean, tan for fit. And I'm working pretty hard and stuff. And I just every now and then I think, I'd love to do that. And then I took the dog for a walk today and my ankle didn't work. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll put that on. But
back to BLT.
I've got a master plan, because I never played for the Barbarians. I'm prepared to come out of retirement for a 10-minute appearance off the bench for the Barbarians. Don't say that's not a deal, whoever runs the Barbarians.
Right. Is that to actually play, or is that to take care of their team socials?
Oh, no, I'll play.
They have more problems with the team socials than on the field, I think.
Yeah, I'll play. I ain't standing in a bubble, but I'll play.
Right,
that doesn't matter, because none of the rest of them did, so it's okay.
Good to see that Ashy's joining more clubs than any other player on the history of the planet. He's now at Worcester. He's just signed for Worcester.
He must be up there with Andy Goode now for most clubs in one career.
He's moved around, hasn't he?
He's got more clubs than Tiger Woods.
The old hook nose.
Very quickly, because a couple of bits before Cheslin joins. Lions, any rumblings, any rumours? What I will say is, Tinds, I got into a lot of trouble with a mate of yours, I think Mark, who is running this petition attached to what is, I understand, a much bigger purpose around his tour, etc., and the people he wants to take to South Africa. But they've now got 5,500 signatures, I think, for it to take place in South Africa, not in the UK. We had a very nice chat. We made up. And there's got a cold beer on it, post third test, wherever that might be.
Yeah, you actually made up with him.
Yeah, but it's really interesting, Has. This is where we differ. You just scream and shout at people you don't like. I pick up the phone, build bridges, and make bonds and friends.
Mate,
anyway, Mark's campaign has picked up too. Shut up. Have you heard anything?
Agency. Yeah, he runs.
Have you heard anything about Lions, either of you, which will inspire, excite, or are we just all sitting and waiting?
I've heard that they are just planning on still running it in South Africa, and they'll make adjustments as they go about what they can and can't do. But they are at the moment planning for it to be in South Africa, planning for it to have some fans there. Obviously, they know it's not going to be full houses, because it probably won't be there yet, but they are planning for it to be as it is announced to be. They're obviously also looking at the other options depending on what comes up. But as I say, if you can't play in front of full stands there, what makes you think we're going to be able to play full stands here? It's one of those sort of things. So they're still they're still working it too, that we'll be in South Africa and it'll go ahead.
The other quite interesting news thread at the moment is about relegation. And in light of the pandemic, we understand that Prem Rugby are going to sign off a halt to relegation for 2 seasons, followed by the introduction of a playoff between the Premiership's bottom side and the winners of the Championship, which I think they did years ago, sort of early.
Yeah, they did. It wasn't that long ago. We didn't we do a playoff?
No, it was later than that, wasn't it? We still had a playoff.
No, I think it was late 90s, early 2000s, because I remember going to a London Irish Coventry playoff game at Sunbury, I think it was. I had 9 pints of Guinness. I had 9 pints of Guinness in 80 minutes and then got punched on the train home. It's the only time I've ever been hit. I got punched out of the carriage.
I've seen you drunk. You'd probably deserved it, because you get all fiery.
Yeah, you get all angry.
Yeah, you get all arsey. One of those arsey, posh people when you get drunk. Or your cravat comes out and your monocle falls off and your pocket watch comes out and you get real aggressive.
Right, less about that, more about relegation. yay or nay? I know BT Sport apparently are very unhappy about it, but are we moving to a Super Rugby league where only really it's ever interesting for the top 4 clubs, or is this an absolute necessity respite from the problems we've got right now?
When's the Championship starting? I know they've done the Cup. So my question would be: is would it make sense not to do relegation when they're so behind on where they're going to be in terms of their season? Is that going to affect it? I would hope we won't end up there, that it's full time, that it's ring fenced, because I think England, UK sport is built on promotion and relegation, and I think sometimes the battles at the bottom are more interesting than the battles at the top. But I would understand with the Championship being so late in starting is how that would affect the team that was coming up if they have to roll straight into a Premiership season straight off the bat. So I could understand it happening this year, but as long as it's not planned for the long-term future, I can get on board with that.
Hask?
I was just thinking they should have to do like an alternative thing to qualify, like some sort of like theatre performance, like the best stand-up from your 5 top players, or something great, or like not a fight to the death because we need players, but I think it'd be something quite good. To maybe that in America where they have that competition where they have to like pedal, climb, the gladiator or warrior or ninja warrior, like 2 teams going through that and whoever gets to do it. Look, we talked about this many times and people get so irate about it, like we need relegation, we don't. Look, I think it's unfortunate, but I think you should ring fence it anyway. I think it breeds the best. I mean, they talked about, I know Bill Sweeney said that not even fishing in the pond of the Championship for recruitment and everything else, and most players don't come from it, but then it's hard in the Championship. Actually, I've always wanted to get a proper bin juice in from the Championship to say what life's really like, because what happens is every time we talk about medical care, physio, games, seasons and everything else, I always get messages from bin juice going, you need to hear what it's like in the fucking Championship, Hask. Get us on. Tell us what it's like grassroots. It'd be like Ellis Genge times 7,000. We'd have to get a translator on and show them. They probably haven't got internet. They probably can't afford to pay for the internet on the Championship wages. But I think it's very interesting. But I would ring fence it. I think it's got to happen because the Championship hasn't even happened. Don't know what that means for Saracens though.
So the winner will still come up. We'll end up with 13 in the league.
Ah, right. Okay. But the way Saracens are going, they might not win it. So
yeah, well, exactly. There's a question: does Faz automatically start? He's the amount of games he'll have played
for England. This is having not played since the last game of the Autumn Nations Cup, I presume.
Or would it? You just don't know.
Let me throw it back at you as guys who performed week in, week out. Would you be very excited about starting an England international having not played for 2.5, 3 months because you'd feel fit, fresh? Or is it the old, ring rusty, you'd be absolutely terrified about which way you were meant to be facing?
Yeah, I would generally, I'd go in worried about just, because it doesn't matter how good you are at training, if you don't play in games and you just not got that little bit of timing, I think it's going to be hard for him to just walk straight in there and play at the level he needs to play now, with everyone, how well other people are playing around him, and how, look at Lawrence and Slade, I think they'd make a good partnership, and if Ford plays well at 10 again like he did in the autumn, you might be better just going in with people who are blooded and game fit, and maybe give him a break. I don't know. But
from my point of view, if I was playing, I actually think the rest are doing really good. I think there will be that nerves. I think the way that England will train with the intensity that they do, everything's in match conditions, anyway. I think he'll be fresh. I think for once in his life, he'll probably be fresh going into it and quite excited. And do you know what? He's got the perfect excuse, because if he doesn't play that well, people go, he just hadn't had an experience. He had a bit of ring rust on him. So he's actually got an extra life in the bank, like a video game. You can't deny it, because people will go, oh, he shouldn't have played. And others will go, oh, but he just hasn't played. And then he'll get to play another game because he's had the experience from the first game, and around we go. It's the beauty of media and sport meeting. I think he'll be fine. He's too much for Keno. Right. He's probably been doing 4 hours of fucking kicking. You compare my younger days, like, what were you doing, Hask? Oh, chasing birds, doing 80 calendars. What were you doing, Faz? Kicking. So, I think he'll be all right.
He is England captain and closing in on Johnny Wilkinson's points record for his country.
One of the greatest players we've had, and I was still fucking good, actually. I'm not gonna play myself down anymore. I'm going to say that.
anymore, ... That seems a good time to remind everyone just very quickly. I mean, we're talking obviously about salaries in the Championship, but just to remind everyone about our Premiership show, which will be out later in the week on YouTube with our good friends at betuk.com, who are the official Premiership Rugby Predictor app. And they are offering over 14 grand's worth, 14 grand, I hear you say, of prizes throughout the 2020-2021 season. The player with the most accrued points win 5 grand cash prize. The app is available exclusively on betuk.com's own app to players aged 18 and over on iOS and Android. Go looking for that wherever it is you do your apps. Download the betuk.com app, register or log into your betuk.com account, select the Premiership Rugby Predictor game from the menu, make your prediction, home win, a draw or an away win for all 6 of the weekend's Premiership Rugby fixtures. Submit those predictions ahead of the weekend and fingers crossed you've picked the winners. You get points for doing just that. Good luck. Don't forget T's and C's apply. 18s and over only. BeGambleAware.org. Tinds, well done. I know you were slightly surprised to have been sent the link and invited to this, so we're going to I can hear the juniors. It's a shame not to have had them on the show this week, but we can hear them in the background, which is very reassuring. Andrea will be happy. Do you want to do high fives? Because we've got our superstar this week, Cheslin, who's going to come. Do you want to say hi to Cheslin?
How you doing, Cheslin? Are you right?
Hi, Mike. Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. Just freezing this side, but other than that, all good.
How's everything in France at the moment? It's a bit of a nightmare, is it?
There's talks about us going into proper lockdown again, so not too sure how things are going to play out, but yeah, just have to probably do what we have to do.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice to have you on the show, and hopefully you've got us loud and clear. Tinds, we'll let you go into your bath time or sausage and beans or whatever it is that you've got on the to-do list right now. Speak to you again very soon. Hask is going to stay along for the ride. See ya, Lord. Thanks for diving in. Cheslin, a very warm welcome. It's really nice to have you on the Good, the Bad and the Rugby. There's a lot to talk to you about. But let's just start with the weekend. You're back in action. All right, 59-0 over Agen, which obviously means you're back in the groove pretty quickly. Nice to be out and scampering about again.
Yeah, no, thanks, Alex. Definitely good to be on the pitch again after a month and a half with an injury. I think during that time you probably just notice how much you really miss the game. Just training, but not being able to play, and obviously just watching the boys have fun out there. Definitely, it's not a good feeling, but also gave me some good time to obviously spend with my family, especially with our newborn. But yeah, definitely excited to be back on the field and be with my teammates. So yeah, just looking forward to the rest of the season.
How old is the newborn? How are you coping? You look extremely well on it, which is a bit frustrating for those of us that feel like we've been run over from homeschooling. But how are you getting on with minis?
No, I'm all good. My wife was all good. I think in terms of sleeping and that, we're quite blessed. Having both our daughters getting proper sleep, especially the newborn. She's about 2.5 months now, so could have had it worse off than what we're currently having it. But yeah, I'm not complaining at all. Getting our sleep, which is probably the most important thing, and yeah, wife feels good, so yeah, she's good. We're all good.
How long are you out for? Because it was a finger injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I've been out for a month and I think I picked it up against the match in Bayonne, and then playing Ulster the following weekend just made it worse. And I just asked the doc, listen, doc, is it possible that I can just go for a scan just to make sure that everything is like fine, because like for finger and the pain I had was like quite intense, and if it was just a ligament or something, I thought like surely by now it would have like eased out, but it just got worse and worse. And went for a scan, and they picked up on the scan that it was broken. So it was quite a bit sad news for me, but I guess that's probably rugby, as you would know as well. You get sad news during your career, but yeah, could have been much worse. So I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah, but the problem is with a finger injury, it's not bad enough for you to have to stop running and doing conditioning. You just have to do a bit of surgery. So, and also, there's no excuse for you not looking after your kids. So, like most people, you're like, shoulder's fallen out, I can't hold the baby, I can't run. You've basically just not been playing. Have you been going mad? Have you been trying to make yourself worse, like hitting yourself in the leg and stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I think when I got the news that my finger was broken, I think the conditioning coach got more excited than me because I could do everything besides probably like pushing and pulling in the gym. So I basically just did conditioning all the time. But yeah, rather stay fit and fall behind. But yeah, in terms of getting the work done at home with the babies and that, I tried milking it as much as I could. I'm not changing the diapers and that.
Cheslin, there's a sort of element of self-flagellation here as two Englishmen welcoming you on to our humble podcast. But we will get into that, obviously, as the king of the Hotsteppers. And what a remarkable story 2019 was for you personally and for South Africa. But your story is one that I think is amongst the most fascinating of players in the modern game right now. And I wondered if you'd be happy if we sort of dived almost right back to the beginning. I'm sort of conscious, often it's really nice to spend time getting to know each other, etc. But you know, your time is short, unfortunately, this evening. So, I mean, would you be happy to sort of almost go through one of the most remarkable stories as to how you've ended up as one of the game's great superstars right now? You know, if you were to look back now at how it all began for you, how do you reflect on, you know, your early days and your earliest memories?
Yeah, yes, I'm happy to go deep into that. Yeah, for me, I've grown up in an unprivileged community in Scottsdale, Kraaifontein, community that's known for gangsterism, for drug abuse, poverty, literally just people wandering around, not knowing what's going to be happening the next day. I think one thing that definitely helped me was growing up in a family that's very sport orientating, and I think my dad definitely played a massive role when it comes to that part of my life. And man, since I can remember, I've been on the rugby field since I was a kid, watching my dad being ball boy at my community club back home. Just really fell in love with the game since I was young. Although rugby wasn't my first choice at a stage when I was at primary school, I was definitely in love with athletics at first. And funny enough, the specific event that I was really in love with was hurdles, and I think the older I got, the hurdles just outgrew me basically. So I had to make a choice where I'm gonna have to either stay with athletics. I'm not sure if I'm really gonna be able to progress. If I'm not gonna grow taller, to be honest with you. So
could you not run underneath them really fast and just look like we were not? Yeah.
If I could, that would probably be worked out best for me to get to the finish line as fast as possible. But yeah, I think the choice that I had to make was probably back in 2004 and 2005, where I had to choose between either rugby or athletics. And I definitely, obviously, always been in love with rugby, but I just put my focus more towards the game at that time. Just doing the little that I could, going to the rugby field with my dad, playing some touch rugby with his team and his teammates and everything like that. And I think that's where I just started like getting more the love of the game. And yeah, growing up in a community where there's limited opportunities and exposure, I never pictured or saw myself become a professional rugby player, to be honest with you. I've probably just play the rugby at school and hopefully go to university after that. And I think with the backing that I've got from my parents and people giving me certain opportunities, when I got to high school, where I got opportunity to go to a more privileged school, to put it that way, a school that gets more opportunities and get more recognition. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I probably would have ended up where I am in my life today. If I had to probably get stuck in my community, I would have, who knows, probably become a drug user or become one of the statistics back in my community. And I definitely didn't want to be that example and let my family down, my parents, for all their hard work that they have done for me by working long hours, working extra hours, just to give me a better opportunity in life and much better future, hopefully. And yeah, my belief and my focus was to obviously, whatever opportunity I do get out there, whether it was going to be athletics or rugby, I just wanted to make myself proud, wanted to make my family members proud, and especially my mom and dad for everything they have sacrificed for me in their times during work, or if it was meant that they're going to have to drive long hours to either get me to an athletics event or a rugby match. They did everything in their best possible way for me. So I just wanted to make sure whatever I do, I do it for my family, and I do it for my parents to see them happy and to see them that the hard work they've put in and all the time they sacrifice, hopefully it will pay off one day. And man, I'm grateful for the way that things has planned out for me in terms of the things that I've seen in my community, crime, drug abuse, getting into high school, going for rugby trials, and not even making it up to the second level of that certain trials, being told that yes, I'm too small, I'm too light, I wouldn't be able to compete against these kids from the bigger rugby schools. And I carried on for my high school career for 2 years. Like that, I just kept going for trials and trials, and I just never made it as far. And I just told my dad, listen, I'm not sure if this is probably going to be for me, because I haven't gone as far as what I thought I would have by all the hard work that I've been putting in. And my dad just told me, do whatever makes you happy, and whatever that's going to be, I'll back you 100%. If it's going to be rugby athletics, just make sure that you put in all the hard work that you can and take advice that I can give you, because he played the rugby at his young age and he's been well known in the community and in the Western Cape where I grew up. And I think he's definitely been a pillar for me in terms of the growth in the game. And it's been a tough road, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
It's really interesting, Cheslin, because you know your story is one that has generated some interest, but I've never heard you speak about it before. You know, and a lot of people in this part of the world will know you from standing on the podium with a World Cup winners medal around your neck and seeing what you do week in, week out for Toulouse. I just wonder if we could elaborate a bit more. I mean, from standing on the top of the world in your sporting greatness that you've now achieved to where it all began. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more? You touch on the drugs, etc. You obviously were very well supported by your family, but tell me more about the community that you grew up in and whether that was a frightening experience, whether it was just what you knew, whether it was something you always wanted to escape, and sort of how that sits with you now, how often you think about it.
Because I have so many friends and family, obviously, back home, I definitely think about it probably most of the time, each and every day, because, man, the way I grew up was, obviously, as I mentioned, the drug abuse, the crime, gangsterism. I think as a young kid playing in the streets, and all of a sudden, all you hear is just gunshots and people like firing bullets in daylight. It's definitely scary. It's things I've seen with my own eyes. It's things that I wouldn't want any other young kid to experience as well, if you can put it that way. But yeah, that's just the way I grew up. A community where obviously gangsterism has been massive, with the gang wars, the drugs, and gangs just fighting each other in daylight, fighting each other with guns. Literally, at night you also have to wonder, like, whatever that sound is, if it's a gunshot, if it's someone's car's tire that exploded or something. And most of the times it's definitely been gunshots. And there's been at times where whenever you get home and the next morning you find out the story that either your neighbor or someone in your street has been killed because of either misfiring, not being involved in gangsterism, but just being either somewhere at the wrong time, but getting caught in that kind of gang wars. It's really difficult, especially when you see it's people that's not involved in those kind of situations, and for their families to obviously lose someone close to them, it's really difficult. And for me, just obviously most of my friends back home that I grew up with, and going back in last year during the lockdown period, obviously being blessed to be back in South Africa for the lockdown and the whole COVID pandemic, I had the opportunity to obviously go out with a foundation that I'm part of to serve and give hope to other people. And man, like wherever I go, in whichever community, like there's so many people that I recognize that I grew up with that they basically don't have anything. They're standing on the streets asking for a bit of help, asking for money, asking for food, asking for clothes, asking for something just to either get into their stomach or just to pull over their head to keep themselves warm. At times, us as professional athletes, we take for granted for the little we have. Or the more we have in life, we actually do complain about having more and more and more. But I think that definitely opened up my eyes because, man, you can't complain about anything as a professional athlete. There's people out there that's 10 times worse off than what we are, and they just out there fighting and hoping to survive for the next day or survive the day they're in. And I just told myself, listen, I have a platform. I'm privileged for what I have. I have a family that's healthy and safe, and I have a platform that I can try and use to help other people succeed in life or give them that sort of hope to look forward to the next day, to provide a hot meal to them, to give something back for them, to just put a smile on their face, basically. I think, yeah, for me, it's been really difficult seeing what's happening back in my community, and obviously I try and help and do what I can to give back to as much people as I can. But yeah, I think the more hands and the more people we can get involved, the more people we can feed and the more people's lives we can touch, basically. So,
and what I'm really fascinated with is how did you avoid the crime and becoming a gangster? Because I imagine lots of people will be trying to put pressure on you to do that, and it's not an easy thing to not be involved in.
James, one of my best friends, or a couple of my mates, actually definitely took the short end of following the wrong routes, especially being part of gangs and using drugs, selling drugs. And at a stage, it got so bad that they got chucked out of home. Parents didn't want them anymore, and they obviously have to start looking after themselves. Then it became where they start stealing from others, looking out at houses, trying to break in, and those sort of things. And it's obviously been a good friend of mine and a friend that I've always tried helping over the years. But it just got to a stage that it was so bad that he got wanted from other gang members in the community, from various communities, and he was just a wanted man at the end of the day. And I think where everything probably picked up for me was seeing what he had and how everything just changed because of the decisions he made and getting chucked out from home, not having what he used to be having. And man, everything just went completely wrong from there. Obviously, with people looking out for him and looking for him, at the end of the day, they got him, and the man got killed by gangs. And I think the way everything happened was, geez, I never thought those kind of things I would have seen, to be honest. That was for me the turning point, being a youngster, seeing what one of my close friends went through and the decisions he made. Obviously, something that I did not want for myself, for my family. I didn't want to attract my family into an environment like that where they're gonna obviously also be on the lookout for because of decisions and things that I do. I've always wanted the best for myself and my family, and I think when you see those kind of things first, and that's when you realize that, listen, man, if you want something different or you want a better future for yourself, you're gonna have to get out of the environment you're in. And I think with the scholarship that I got from high school, which is only 10 minutes from where I grew up, it's a school where there's much more privilege, and you just see kids coming out of an environment or community where they have so much going for them. And here I am coming out of an environment where there's limited opportunities, there's limited resources and those things. And here these kids have everything, they got the world for them. And I just told myself, like, listen, why can't I be the same person that these kids are, and why can't I have those opportunities as well? And I tried getting out as much as possible out of my community, because the only thing that happens on a daily basis is drugs, is gangs, it's murders, it's gang wars, it's shooting. That's a daily basis. That's what happens each and every day, and that's what I was used to. And the more I got out of that environment, the more I got to make friends at high school level. I saw a different picture of life and a different way of living, basically. And I think that was basically my escape, getting out of my community and seeing a different way of living. And
did you think, because obviously having your dad around, and having like a strong family relationship helped you as well? Because you said in your first part how important your dad was to you, or is to you, in terms of that. Did that make a massive difference, having that figure around?
Yeah, it definitely made a massive difference. I think in our house, there's been respect, there's been rules, there's been discipline, and yeah, I haven't grown up with a wealthy family, to be honest with you. I grew up with parents that just put in the extra hard work. If it's meant that they had to work from Monday to Sunday, they would do that for me, because hopefully that will give me a better opportunity in life, a better future, and make better decisions.
I'm conscious we're dealing with some quite heavy issues here, particularly for a podcast that's normally an absolute shambles, Cheslin. We normally find it quite difficult to all get pointing in the right direction. But you've obviously touched on your upbringing surrounded by drugs and violence and gangs, etc. Without sort of putting too much into one episode, I know your dad was a really talented player, actually, and I just wondered, was he properly talented? And the question I suppose I was going to ask is, would he have potentially made more of a career were it not for apartheid, or is that too layered in this instance?
No, I think my dad definitely had the talent to perform at the highest level at that time. But as you mentioned, apartheid that time definitely played a massive impact on the way they could have obviously lived. My dad I know he represented Western Province, Saru, which is a Springboks currently. He represented those teams during apartheid. So he definitely had the capability and the talent to perform at the highest level. And I think whenever I do go back home, and even all the achievements and things that I have achieved, people always tell me, you're not as close to what your dad was when he played at his younger days. And I'm like, wow, okay, he must have. I know he's been a different player compared to me. He's been a player that just bashes up everything, just smashes people in front of him. And I'm the totally complete opposite. To be honest with you, I'm living my dream, but I think I'm living my dad's dream more than anything else. Obviously, I would have probably loved to see him in today's generation, what he could have accomplished and achieved. But yeah, I'll do my best for him, and hopefully just keep making him proud.
When you made your first kind of paycheck, did you do something for your parents? I wonder, like, a lot of people, when they make it, they say, I wanted to buy my mum a car. Obviously, rugby's different in compared to like American sports where you hear the story. But is there something that you've done specifically for your folks to say thank you so much for working double jobs and everything?
James, this is how my parents are. Like, whatever is yours is yours. They never wanted anything from me, to be honest. They said, you deserve whatever you deserve because you've put in the work. And to me, I just felt that I had the responsibility to give back to them in whatever way it would have been. And my first paycheck, I didn't touch or anything. I just offered it to them. But all they did is they just invested that money and just made sure that the money either grows in some or other way. They didn't want the money at all. I think that's just the the way my parents are. They're grateful for what they have today, and they just want the best for me, and obviously to keep succeeding and obviously make wise decisions whenever it does come to money and obviously getting that first check. I think my first check I basically didn't touch. I only got 500 rand out of that first check that I could have spent on myself, and I was happy with that because I could live with that because in my upbringing I never had that kind of cash anywhere close to me. So I was used to not basically having those sort of money. So I was used to just putting away whatever I got and live off with as minimal as possible.
Do you enjoy playing rugby? Because the reason I asked this is obviously with my life, I've had nothing, I haven't gone through anything you've gone through, right? I played rugby because, I'll be honest with you, it was the only thing I was good at and I wasn't that good at it. So I went and played it. Obviously, you've played rugby to escape something, which most people don't have to do. Most people, it's a choice. You did it because you were obviously athletics. They said you were too small, but you went and played rugby. Have you grown to love rugby because you had to escape it, or did you always love it? Because I wonder whether it's, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Whether you sort of, do you really enjoy playing rugby, or was it just your way out, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, just firstly, just how humble you are, man. I think you also achieved so many things.
That's very kind.
Now, for me, I've loved the game since I've been a young kid. Since the first time I got to watch my dad, I fell in love with the game because that was my weekends or my week after school. I'll just follow my dad, just go to the training field with him. Whether that meant I just kick ball by myself. I was always on the rugby field since I was young. So I definitely was always in love with the game. But I think I just fell more in love when I had to make the decision between athletics and rugby. So I think, I've always been in love with the game and I'm still loving it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been doing this up until now. I think the moment I lose the love for the game, that's the day I'll step away as well and look for other opportunities.
What I wanted to ask you is that you come from a pretty good gene pool because your cousin is... Go on. Tell us about your cousin, who actually, funny enough, I interviewed him years ago. Well, not that long ago, but about 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was. But your cousin is ...
Yeah, Wade van Niekerk, 400-meter world record holder. I think, we grew up together. We know the struggles. We know what tough times looks like. As I mentioned in the beginning, we grew up in a family where sport was number one. Obviously, my dad, my mom, also being part of athletics and netball, and my dad rugby, and his parents both being athletes, 100-meter sprinters, South African colours. His dad played rugby as well. So we grew up in a family where it's been sport each and every weekend, whether it's athletics, rugby, whatever it is. We'll be there whenever there was occasion, and I think those were the kind of things we definitely looked up to. Obviously, spending time with our parents, seeing how they obviously achieved things at their times, especially with apartheid and everything, and not being able to progress and make a much better future for them through their talents. But myself and Wade has shared so many of our journey together as youngsters, playing in the streets, bare feet, playing touch rugby, racing each other at the time, which I was the fastest.
Oh, but that's the key question. Who would win the 50 meters?
Yeah, he's always been the one with the speed. I haven't come close to him, to be honest. He's just been incredibly fast since he was young. But we always mock each other by saying who's been the fastest. And I know I've beaten him a few times. Whenever we had races in the street or on the track. But today I probably wouldn't stand a chance against him at all.
But hold on, Cheslin, what's his footwork like? Because you can run, sidestep, and keep running. he's good in the straight line and jumping over stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, I know he loves the game of sevens as well. So I think he definitely has a bit of footwork on him.
Oh, really?
I think I'll give him a crack when it comes to the footwork a bit. I think that's where I can probably try avoid him or get past him.
I want to know what makes a better paperweight, Olympic gold or a Rugby World Cup winners medal? When you're doing your tax bills and your phone bill, which one is a bit weightier?
Man, I'll say both. But if I'm gonna have to look at it from a bigger picture, for what he's achieved, the way he has achieved everything, and his story as well, being premature as when he was born, obviously not knowing if he was gonna grow to his full potential. There's always been that source of limit or uncertainty, basically. So, yeah, I think Wade's story, just winning and breaking the world record at the Olympics, getting gold, and just wrote his name in the history books. I think his story is definitely up there. But for me as well, I never saw myself playing professional rugby, although I've dreamt of it. I've set goals out for me. I never thought that it would have happened. Becoming a professional rugby, then representing the Springboks, then hopefully playing in the World Cup. To be honest with you, I never thought I would have been part of the 2019 Rugby World Cup, because a year earlier in 2018, I was supporting one of my best friends, Sia Kolisi, as his first captaincy against England in the incoming series. And I was basically just sitting in the stands as a normal supporter, like cheering, shouting, and just going crazy in the stands. And a year later, everything just changed. Got called out to play for the Springboks, then played well, then getting called up to be part of the World Cup team. I honestly never thought that it would have happened, because there's been so many good wingers in form at that time as well. And I just thought, like, if it happens, it happens. It's going to be a bonus. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to be hard on myself, because I never thought of myself being part of that 2019 World Cup team. And man, it just shows you how quick things can change. Whenever there's opportunity that definitely comes, you have to make sure that you're ready. I'm glad the way things planned out, to be honest with you.
You seem very emotional about all this. I just wondered do you feel very emotional when you talk about the story that is yours? Does it sometimes feel quite curious to kind of attribute that to yourself?
It is a bit emotional, because all the things that I had to overcome since I've been young, even in my professional career back home, still not being able to get the likes of national coaches, or still being criticized in media each and every weekend. Like, I don't belong in a team. I don't belong to play against other teams out there, and especially bigger players. It was difficult for me, because obviously at a time some negativity just gets to you, and I told myself, like, listen, is this what I want to listen to for the rest of hopefully my career? And I had to make a decision at a time where either I get myself out of this environment. I haven't been selected through so many seasons back home, and I just had to make a decision which was best for me and my family. Obviously, with a kid also coming along and playing a massive part in that, I just made the decision to seek a new opportunity to build up a new me, basically, in a much stranger world. And that's when the opportunity to France basically came. And I just told my wife at that time, listen, there's so many things going on back home, me being criticized, not being selected for international stage or things like that, and us just having our first daughter definitely was much more than me. So I asked the list, because obviously she worked back home as well, and she had her things that she wanted to achieve. And I asked her, like, listen, would you walk this journey with me, with you? Would you come with me to a strange world, a world that none of us know? We know no one, don't know anything, we don't know what to expect when we land in France. So I think that was the decision that we made, and just said, listen, let's go, let's seek out the opportunities that are out there that's also laid out for us, and just give it our best shot.
When you say you got criticised, for what? What were people saying? What, your size?
Yeah, James, my size. Rugby, each and every player gets bumped off. Say, for instance, if there's a player that was a forward for some other reason and he gets bumped off, you wouldn't hear anything about that. But once it was me either getting bounced off, hand off, missing a tackle, that would be the first thing in the newspapers, as they would say, I told you so. You wouldn't be able to compete at the highest level. You wouldn't be able to play against the All Blacks. You wouldn't be able to play against bigger opponents because I just didn't have the size. I didn't have the weight behind me. So that has always been my biggest downfall, and especially getting criticized for that week in and week out. Even if I had to do something good in a specific game, for some other reason, some media would just still go up on my size and my weight, and that I wouldn't make it far in my professional career. And yeah, I also just basically told myself, listen, my dad actually told me, you're going to have to face whatever comes your way because you are not the biggest, you're not the heaviest, you're not the tallest of players, but do what you can do and just do that to your utmost. And I started using that negativity and just use it to create a positive energy towards myself, because I had opportunity then to go out on the field if there was opportunity given to me to prove those kind of people that it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. If you have the right mindset, you have the right attitude towards the game, you can do what the next person does as well. So that has been my way about going into any matches. Just do what you can, work as hard as you can, and just set out the goals that you want to achieve and just work towards them.
There's someone on this call or this podcast who would do well to heed those words of advice, having unloaded a 7-minute tirade last week, James Haskell, against those who criticised you for eating McDonald's. Cheslin, I much prefer your rather calm and assured way of dealing with critics. There are so many things I'd love to talk to you about, and perhaps we might get a chance to do a sort of second sitting of this, because I'm also conscious of your time. I do just quickly want to ask you, you mentioned that watching England in 2018 from the stands, and the remarkable story around Sia, who I know you're very close to, but at what point did the comeback begin, so to speak? It's not necessarily a comeback, but at what point did the right pieces start to slot into place? Was it Rassie picking up the phone to you and saying, it's time to get involved? Was it you hitting a hot patch of form? I mean, how did the good news story begin?
Yeah, I think just to touch up on the Springboks, I think things has definitely changed since Rassie started getting involved with the Springboks and coming back to South Africa. He set out so many plans, and he had a clear plan basically of what he wanted and what he wanted to achieve, what he wanted in a team environment, the philosophy, the culture, and all those kind of things. And I think players respect him for the person he is. He's straightforward. He's not a coach that calls you in for a meeting here, talks to you about certain things. He's a guy that calls you up in front of everyone, who says everything in front of the whole group. And yeah, he's just honest and open, and that's just how he is. And I think that's where most of the players gain respect for him. Obviously, I haven't been involved with the incoming series against England at that time, but I could just pick it up by seeing how the boys played in that series, especially being down on the scoreboard, but still managing to have confidence and pull those games through. You could just see like boys are out there to fight for each other and just gain respect in that Springbok jersey again, because 2 years before that, I think there's a lot of people that just disrespected the jersey, people that just didn't care about the Springboks anymore. And I think it's been a sad time in Springbok rugby, but I think Rassie definitely changed that whole perspective. And I think the time I got involved, it happened quite strangely. I know our season just kicked off in the top 14 as we played Lyon away. I think I had a good game, although it was a draw. Came back that Monday morning, walked up into the meeting, and William Savat, the forwards coach at that time, just randomly came to sit next to me, and he told me, "So now you can bring me some biltong." And I just looked at him. I was like, "Are you nuts or something?" Because our season just started. There's no ways I'm going home anytime soon. And he just looked at me and he just stood up and walked off. I was like, okay, that was quite weird and random. And I just carried on doing my thing, waiting for the meeting to approach. And the next thing, the coach walked in, Hugo Muller. He just looked at me and just shook his head. And I was like, I asked Reinhard, which is South African, that plays here as well. And I asked him, hey, did I do something wrong the weekend? Because I just feel something is not normal, because this guy asked me a random question. The coach just told me for the first time in the morning and just shook his head at me. And I was like, did I do something wrong in the match, or what is it? And I was confused the whole meeting. I couldn't focus, to be honest with you, because I was just trying to figure out what's happening, because it just felt weird for me. And the meeting finished. Coaches and everybody stayed behind, and they just told me to also stay behind. And I was like, okay, something must be going on, because normally I'm not in the meetings because I'm not one of the senior players. I'm just in the meetings. I listen what needs to be done on the field, and I get prepared and go out. And I was like, okay, what's up? And the coaches told me, listen, it's sad for the club. It's difficult for the club. But he knows how much it means to me. And I was like, okay, just tell me what's going on. And he said, okay, you're leaving this Saturday to fly over to Brisbane to join up with the Springboks. I stood there and I just looked at all of them, and I started laughing, because I just thought they were fooling around with me or making a joke out of everything. And they told me, no, you're not playing the weekend, you're leaving. So you need to prepare yourself. And obviously, I never had any visas or anything planned out. I wasn't in contact with any of the coaches prior to that meeting. I never knew about anything. And just getting that information from the club, I was like, wow, this is actually quite crazy, because I never thought of it, because, our season just kicked off. And I had to start rushing, getting my visas and everything sorted. But the first thing I did was I called my wife. I told her the news. She was excited. I called my dad, and my dad just broke into tears. He was overwhelmed by the news, to be honest with you, because he also thought that, listen, by the move that I made, by going overseas, that my Springbok career would probably be gone. It wouldn't be happening for me. And the moment I told him that news, the man just broke into tears and just said, well done, congratulations, and just hung up on the phone. I think he was more shocked than what I was, to be honest with you. Everything really happened so fast for me. I never expected it, to be honest. I got the limited time to obviously prepare for that first test, which I never knew that I was going to be part of. It also happened so weird, because I know Rassie Erasmus was having a meeting with the captain at that time, and I was going to the lobby, to the reception, to get a scissors for my bag to cut off my cable ties, and he just walks up to me and he's like, welcome. And I was a body feeling any injuries, and I was like, no, I'm all good, no injuries, no niggles or anything. And he was like, okay, if that's the case, then you're on the bench for the weekend. I just stood there and I was like, wow, is this how things is going? Is this how things happens? And I was like, okay, more good news. Stuff just started building and going into the right direction for me, and I just felt more at ease and more comfortable and more confident the more the week progressed. And I got to training the first day. I was so nervous. I didn't want to I didn't want to be involved with the ball because I didn't want to like miss the ball or anything. I didn't want to make silly errors. But he just came up to me and he told me like, listen, you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Just be yourself, play your own game. Don't worry about mistakes and just go out there and enjoy it. I love that. I love the open chat. I love the freedom that I've gotten since I arrived at the Springboks. Yeah, I think that's just the type of player that I am. I just want to go out on the field and obviously just play rugby and enjoy giving the ball some air. So yeah, I was really chuffed by all the news and the way things has worked out for me by getting my test debut. Even though I was as nervous as could be, but yeah, everything paid off for me. So I'm just happy the way things really planned out.
It's not surprising that things sort of happen very quickly for you, given the way you played the game. But can I just ask now? I mean, you know, I keep mentioning time, unfortunately, which is beating us. But how do you look back on the 2019 experience, the World Cup?
Just being part of that group was a privilege for me, whether I was going to play or not. I wasn't at the time. I wasn't first choice in the back three with the good wingers we had with Spoon, Kosi, Makazole and Pimpy, and then Willie Leroux at the back. I mostly came off the bench during the 2019 year as well. So yeah, the moment everything changed was probably when I got my second test debut against the All Blacks, where I also came off the bench. Probably the first minute getting onto the field, scoring my first test try and us winning that match as well. Definitely laid out some sort of confidence in me and the belief just got stronger, I think, at that time. Yeah, but 2019 has been a good year for me, winning the top 14 with my club at Toulouse, winning the rugby championship, and then going up to the World Cup, playing in one of the biggest tournaments that I never thought of being a part of. I can remember back in 2007, I was a youngster, also just cheering, shouting, and just being a random boy out there and supporting the Springboks at the 2007 World Cup. And here I am being at the World Cup in 2019, a few years later. Just really insane the way things has planned out for me.
Listen, did you, at any point, with all that negativity you have, put yourself into a room and be like, fuck you, I told you I was good enough? You must, I know you're a humble guy, and we promise not to tell anyone, but there must have been a moment with all that criticism, all that question about your size, about, you know, all your background. There must have been a moment where you kind of were like, just all the emotion came out and you were like, fuck yeah, I did it. And I did it against all the odds.
Exactly the way you're saying it. I think every time I basically go out on the field, I go out there to like show people like, I am here, I've done it. Whatever you had to say, I proved you wrong. But I think, don't take offense to it, but scoring in the final, I think definitely just by the celebration. I'm not a guy that celebrates, but the moment I dotted that ball down, it was just an amount of relief.
Well, that's what I want to.
Of excitement.
Before I interrupt you, right, just because I want to just ask you one thing, right? Because however painful this is for all the English listeners, right? When Pieter-Steph du Toit, I want to just details here, because you absolutely fucking ruined the World Cup for us, okay? And this is your one opportunity. I want to live it like blow by blow. So Pieter-Steph du Toit gives you the little pop pass. What are you thinking?
Man, I told myself before the game, World Cup final, if I'm going to be able to touch a ball, I'm going to make the most out of it, because you don't touch a ball in a World Cup final as a winger that much. You're either chasing the ball, or it's just penalties, or it's kickoffs. I just saw that opportunity, a loose ball, and receiving the ball on full speed. And man, the first thing for me was just the trial, and that's all that I thought of. Obviously, with that, there was players covering and people guys in front of me. Obviously, for me, I just had to avoid being tackled. And the first two guys I saw on my inside, I think it was Joe Moller, and I'm not sure who the other guy was.
Owen. Was it Owen Farrell?
No, I know Owen was in front. That I know.
The laugh.
You should have.
Owen, the laugh.
Oh, yeah.
No. But yeah, I think, for me, I just got the ball and I went on the goose and just kept going on the outside because I saw the 2 forwards and I just backed my pace to get on the outside. And I had one more guy in front of me. And, man, I just did anything that I could to just being avoid getting tackled or anything. And I went on the double step to the outside first and then just whacked in as hard as I could to the inside. I felt the arms and eating me and anything, but I never felt I was held to anything. And that's when I knew I was free and it was just the try line in front of me. And that's where I went to. I went down running as fast as I could. I probably could have gone under the post or closer to the post, to be honest with you, but I just wanted to dot that ball down. Scared not to make a mistake or not to ruin this moment.
We're really thrilled for you, Cheslin. We really are. I can't tell you how nice and how therapeutic this is.
Cheslin, you said that your celebration, I interrupted you, but you basically said that you don't celebrate, but your celebration was kind of the final icing on the cake for you, to say to everyone, look, I fucking did it.
100%. I think that definitely sealed the World Cup final. And for me, just the emotions and everything behind that try and the way I celebrated it. It was for so many people back in South Africa. I think South Africa's been in such a difficult time, and people back home has really been supporting us. People watching videos throughout the week, just the atmosphere back home, and to know that I've done that back in 2007, also just shouting, cheering, just going nuts all over the show. And here I am scoring a try in the World Cup final. The first thing I thought of was that young boy that probably did the same thing, just went crazy. And that's how I celebrated. I just went crazy. I just went nuts. I just enjoy that moment because it was a relief to me, to be honest, to show so many people that I have the capability of playing at the highest level, and the things that I had to overcome, I could show them by the way I did it. And yeah, I'm really humbled in the way everything has planned out and everything has gone in that final. And yeah, I'm just glad that we could give some sort of positivity back to our country, South Africa. I think it's been a difficult time, and yeah, it was basically getting into that final was not about us anymore. It was really about everybody back in South Africa that's going through difficult times. And here we are living out our dream and having an opportunity to giving hope to people back home, giving them something positive to look at and just to enjoy that moment and experience with us. I think has been a highlight for me. Yeah, definitely chuffed the way I've celebrated the try.
Chuffed is a very nice way to put it. And hopefully, listen, we hope to see you back doing what you do best. I know, obviously, going great guns for Toulouse, but hopefully there will be a line. So there's no point asking you about it because no one knows at the moment. But fingers crossed, we'll get the chance to see you doing what you do best for the Box against the Lions. The final question I want to ask you, Cheslin, is sort of going back to the beginning, really. And it's just fascinating. Your story is inspiring, it's extraordinary, and it's got an amazing sort of, peak to it with that World Cup triumph. But having listened to you over the course of the last hour or so, I'm just interested as to how you reconcile having done so much to escape, I suppose, some of the troubles that you experienced and saw as a child, and yet how much love you have for the place you call home and the foundation, etc. I wondered if you'd worked that out yourself, that there was so much running and so much success in getting away from where you grew up, and yet so much love for it and so much willingness to pay back into it as well.
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, it definitely wasn't easy for me. I had to overcome so many things. I had to put in the hard hours, hoping that I do get that opportunity, hoping to become successful in my rugby career. And man, I'm just thankful for every blessing, thankful for every opportunity. Because I know what it feels like whenever there is opportunities that doesn't come your way, although you know that you have the capability of excelling, but you're just limited because of where you're from or where you're stuck at, because there's no opportunities, there's no exposure. So for me, that one thing that I'd really, really, really would love to change in my community, or basically the perspective of every South African, is no matter where you come from, no matter what you go through, you have to set out things for yourself that you can work towards, because if you're just going to be living from day to day, it's going to become pointless. I think once you set out plans and goals out for you to try and succeed, that's when you can try and push yourself to the maximum potential. And man, for me, yeah, it's really emotional. It's really tough seeing what's still currently happening back home in my community, or basically the whole of South Africa. Yeah, I just urge on other people out there to probably to just do the same and just give a hand to the person next to him, because that's how we can become a better South African, better country, or a better world, basically. If we can just help the next person, there's no reason that other people should be going to bed hungry or wondering if there's going to be anything on the table the next day.
Cheslin, you are a remarkable man with a remarkable story. We must leave it there, unfortunately, but we would love to keep chatting. We'd love to hear more about the foundation. There are many more incredible chapters to come in your story. I'm not sure I'm willing to throw the lions in there, but we hope we get an amazing series. Hask, just final word to you. It's remarkable to get a man who inspires in equal measure on and off the field. There are not many of those in the game at the moment.
No, not at all. I think Cheslin's story is incredible for how hard he's worked, but also how much he's prepared to give back. But I also think it's a really nice lesson for people that often we shy away from negativity. We're told to be super positive about everything, but to be told you're too small through your entire career, to actually harness that negativity and to go and prove people that rugby is not about how big you are. Cheslin has the skill set to end people's careers. That's the
and knees and ACLs. And
yeah, let's not beat around the bush, right? He's a career ender. He's a walking highlight reel, and the people he's doing over. That's like, you're never going to get that out. Thank God he wasn't playing when I was playing, because I would be getting tagged in stuff. I just run the other way. I'd be hiding on the other side of the field. But I think what he's doing with his foundation is amazing. I think any young players out there who aren't the biggest, stick to your core skills, improve yourself, put the work in, don't give up, and remember that anything is possible. And I think he's a great shining light for world rugby. I'm very jealous. Toulouse is a team that I always wanted to play for. Every time I was out of contract, I tried to get into Toulouse. I remember even speaking to Thierry du Toit, trying to get him to put a good word in for me, and I never did it. So, mate, what you're doing is amazing. Keep being inspirational. Good luck, and please never do that to England again. Do it to everybody else, but never to England again.
You're a good man.
Thanks for the kind words, much appreciated. And yeah, as you mentioned, just people out there, anyone that's in difficult times, just put in the hard work, focus on the positivity, and just do you. Don't worry what other people out there say, whatever is negative. Just focus on yourself and just do your best.
If people want to follow you, Cheslin, if people want to follow you on social media and hear about the foundation, where can they go to find out more about all that?
Yeah, so obviously I'm on social media. People can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And the foundation that they can follow and contribute to it's called the Be the Difference Foundation. Yeah, they can see all the details on there. They can see all the work that we do with the foundation, the communities we go out to, the people we touch on. I think something that's actually special I didn't mention with the foundation. It's a foundation that it's a 3-in-1. So you have your nutrition part, which consists obviously out of hot meals, providing meals to disadvantaged people that are not fortunate enough to have food on the table. Then you have the academic side of things, which is obviously a massive focus for the foundation as well, because we believe that academics is a massive part in any young kid's career, to develop something for them. And then obviously the sporting side as well that I mentioned. So yeah, we got something really special running with the foundation. But I must say, yeah, it's obviously difficult with the times we're obviously living in now, especially COVID, people, sponsors or people not being able to get involved as much. But yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, anything that we can either give back to other people, donations or whatever it is, definitely goes a long way. So
we'll put that all over our socials and make sure that those that would like to get involved, and I hope a number will, do just that. Cheslin, it's a remarkable journey, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. Look after yourself, look after your family and your little one as well, and we'll see you on a touchline somewhere soon, breaking careers and ending knees or wherever it goes. The wonderful Cheslin Kolbe. What an absolute treat to have him on the show, and our team is coming together pretty nicely. We've got Mako Vunipola, David Pocock, Kieran Reid and Cheslin Kolbe in 2021 alone. Wow, we're dealing with some big names. Cheslin, thank you once again. Well done, the Hoff. Lovely to catch up. That is it this week for The Good, The Bad and The Rugby. Thank you to James. Thank you to Tinds. Thank you to Cheslin once again. Thank you as well for listening and for watching. We are amazingly closing in on 5 million downloads and views since we started, which is testament to all of you who've dialed in, joined us, and been part of our journey. So thank you to each and every one of you for your support, your feedback, and for being part of what we're doing here at The Good, The Bad and The Rugby. Don't forget to check out the website, goodbadandrugby.com, for the Norse, who's got more stats for you ahead of the Premiership's return. You can also get our merchandise there, and don't forget the preview show with betuk.com on Thursday. Look after yourself, Cheslin. What a treat. Well done, Hask. Speak to you soon. But for now, Rob Brydon, all yours. And we'll catch you again next week. Bye-bye.